G'day and welcome to the Inforunners. I'm Execute, joined today by Algared. How you doing, buddy?
I'm fairly well.
Video number 2 today we're doing. Not
It
that you
is.
guys would know that one. I do have to do a caveat straight off the bat. With what happened yesterday, we know now that the weapons and things are in flux at the moment, and this one's been buffed already, where all the other ships that we have to compare it to are not buffed. So basically we can't really look at the weapons, and so therefore that makes it really difficult. All we can really look at is the function of the ships, right? So basically we can look at this, the role. So we can look at this as a bounty hunter because there's the MR. We can look at the
ES as an explorer.
and the Clipper as a cargo.
Yep. And the other thing I think is that elephant in the room. When we're looking at the skins and the behind your head.
We'll leave that to the end. Right, let's kick it over to the browser. You're giving it away, Algared. You're giving away the good things. Right.
Sorry.
You're letting people know the secrets, man. Right. Anyway, the ES. I think we'll go with the elephant in the room. Tell us about your thoughts about how it's not really a shuttle.
The other elephant in the room.
Yep.
The other elephant in the room.
We're in a stampede, Algared. We're in a stampede. Come on. Yeah.
That's right. So the other elephant was the fact that most people who like the Zeus like the original shuttle-like look. And their idea was they want that piece of history, not necessarily a Mark II. Now, I know sales are probably going to say that's wrong because when it came out, I was one of those who just went, yeah, it looks good, click.
Yep.
And a lot of people are going to do that as well. But still, I still want the original Zeus. And I know in their thing they said, no, I want the old one. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. But you can also see in this, it's got some really nice callbacks to the original. It's got the same triangular shape. It's still got the winglets. As you look at it, you can also see the modern influence. So you can see the influence of the Perseus and the Polaris. And the other thing I do like is the cockpit glass. You can see that really RSI language, and yet it's strutless. And that's a huge thing. So less struts.
Yeah, so I think hopefully eventually that original Zeus, maybe they'll release that like many years from now, because they are right, it doesn't really have that role, but I think the only thing it's really missing is a bit of Tabasco sauce, and would be good. Right.
I suppose on the original Zeus idea is that does give them the opportunity to make it like that jalopy ship, that ship that we find the wreck and then restore or build. Because I know a lot of people want that as well. Disco among them.
All right, so let's talk about each variant now. So you've got the Scout, not the Scout, sorry, the Explorer. Comparing this to the other ship that is clearly the Explorer in this class is the Dur. The Dur has the fuel scoops on it, so I assume that is more of a long-range Explorer, where this thing is more of a wing. And so I'd assume it flies better in planet. So this is more of a planetary explorer, where I assume the Dur is more of a long-distance explorer. That's about all you can really compare between the two. Obviously, this is 3 people, and currently the Freelancer is 4. But again, with the weapons overhaul and the way things are going, also the Freelancer is technically smaller by a considerable margin. So there may be other benefits and drawbacks there as well. So again, I do firmly believe, in Algared, I think you would agree with me on this, the Freelancer is due for a rework. It hasn't gotten it though, because again, we saw it in the Squadron 42 trailer, the frozen part, that is the Freelancer.
Yeah, I was about to say, and we expect the Freelancer to get a rework. And one of the things we've talked about in terms of doing that rework is reducing the crew complement of the Freelancer down to 2 instead of 4, which would increase living space or cargo space or component space available to it. So
it might even just grow the ship.
Yeah,
like it really depends how they want to approach it, and I'll talk about that in a little bit when we talk about the Clipper, because I've got a feeling we'll talk about that. I think the Clipper might even be next. What is it? No, it's the bounty hunting one. Right. So right now, the bounty hunting one and the Cutlass Blue are actually fairly close, and as Algared found and pointed out to me earlier, the only real difference is the cargo. This has a cargo bay as well, where the Blue kind of gives up that cargo bay. But other than that, Algared,
no, they're very similar.
This is 3 and that's 2 people.
Yeah.
So again, it's also physically smaller in the Cutlass. So you've got choice now. So they are very similar.
But the other thing with this that we looked at, we were looking at the interior, as this not only has the prisoner cells, like the prisoner storage area and the cargo, but it's also got the armory and the 2 suit lockers. So you've got that kind of
Yeah.
what appears to be where you'd take your armor
Mm.
suits off opposite the armory, and then you've got your suit lockers for your EVA.
So,
And so
so,
it's
so along with gaining the extra person and the extra person you've got to look after, you do get extra facilities, essentially the cargo and the armory. But again, there's choice now, so you can go two
yeah,
people, but you get less facilities, or do you get three? So obviously, this is again, we're getting choices here. There's personal
yeah.
tastes that come into this. How
And
many friends you're going to play with kind of dictate which ship you're going to buy.
the other thing is that this is bigger than a Cutlass Blue, and so
Yeah.
again you've got that option as well. So
Mm.
even though they're both the same size landing padish type
Mm.
arrangement, the difference is the blue is smaller. Hopefully that would mean it will go through. Yeah. So
Mm. The Clipper. Now, this is probably the most interesting of the one, and this kind of leads back to what we were saying about the Freelancer and the Freelancer Max. Again, if the Freelancer Max is getting a rework and it's 4 people, maybe it will grow, right? Maybe it won't. I don't know, right? So this is this complete speculation here, but this has so much extra cargo that it literally kills the Freelancer Max currently. And it's only 3 people, not 4. So logic dictates the Freelancer's got to change somehow. It's either got to get bigger and therefore carry more cargo than this, or stay or drop crew.
well, the other
And
thing
go ahead.
the other thing I think, not only does it tread on the Freelancer,
Mm-hmm.
but at the moment it's very close to the Connie Taurus. Like you're
Yep,
looking at
absolutely.
170 odd to one.
It's
You
about
know,
50 cargo more.
yeah,
But
the Taurus has 50 cargo more.
but
And
this is small and can go through the smaller jump points in the
yeah,
Taurus, but then the Taurus gets things like the smuggling compartment and more crew. So again, it's almost a little bit giving you
yeah.
that choice, 3-player or 4-player, but then there's this threshold.
And
You've
then you've
also
got
got a tractor beam that you can load stuff on with as well, where the Freelancer doesn't have a tractor beam. So yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, this is probably the most interesting one at the moment, but got to remember there's so much up in the air now after SystemCon. It makes it really hard to recommend these based on what they are, right? Because everything's now subject to change. It just makes it difficult.
And
So
I
let's,
think if you're looking at look at the interiors of what they're saying they've got,
yeah,
and look at the role of what they're saying. And if you like that, and it seems to tick your box, then it pulling the trigger might be something you do. But then if you look at the price, they're in that kind of bracket where we'd normally say earning game.
yeah. Oh, they're definitely a getting game. I can say that right now. Like if you've got something bigger than this, or even any plans to get something bigger than this, yeah, they're an earning game. Like if you have a Connie, almost no reason to get this because it's just bigger and holds more people and you can earn down to this. So let's have a look at the internals, right? So I think this one is clearly the most middle of the road version. It has a little bit better crew quarters than the other two. It's got extra shields over the other two, right? I don't want to make that's not over the other ships in this class, just over the other Zeuses. It's got a radar. It's got extra fuel tanks, so it probably goes further distances and stuff like that. And again, it's the middle of the road on the cargo. So yeah, right. This is the Clipper. The Clipper, you can see there, it gets much more cargo, but then all of a sudden you lose a lot of your crew quarters and go into bunk habitation and things like that. So that's that one. This is the most interesting one, but as I said, the Freelancer is clearly going to get a rework at some point. And then you get the bounty hunting one that we looked at earlier, the most expensive variant. Go ahead,
But I
Algared.
also think the most unique, because in terms of bounty hunting prisoner ships, I think this is better than a blue, in my opinion.
I would have to agree because of the extra facilities, but it just really comes down to 2 versus 3 people.
But I think that those extra facilities do put it a step above in terms of roles and things you can do. But like you said, if they're both in the same size category, so any, mini, miny, mo.
The other bounty hunter up there that we haven't got the module for yet that we may get, and I do stress may, it is in a part of the $65 million stretch goal, is the Redeemer, right?
Yes.
But I would imagine though, you're not going to get certain things that this has got. Like you're pretty much just going to get a cargo room that puts the pods in, and you don't have the armory obviously, and you don't have the better sleeping equipment requirements, but obviously you get much more guns. So again, it's a bounty hunting variant that points in a different direction.
And and just like the blue, you'd be giving up your cargo capacity for your bounty hunting. So
exactly. Exactly.
So yeah,
So again, player choice is interesting, and we're now starting to get these ships that slot in with each other and tread on each other a lot more than they used to. So it's interesting. But again, for me, it is personally an earning game for all of them. Again, it's $150 to $190, and so it's a really great looking ship. Not for me. I didn't buy any of them. I know Algared did, and I will happily fly there with you, Algared, anytime you want.
yep.
It's an earning game for me, though. So yeah.
For me, as people said, did I buy them? I said it's RSI.
Yeah.
Look, there are people who are real Drake heavy fans and will buy anything Drake regardless. I'm the same with RSI.
Yeah, you're a big fan of the Dorito dip. That's fine. You're a Mexican connoisseur. I think that's what we'll call you from now on. Yeah, you love your burritos, right? So before we move on to the elephant in the room, as Algared called it, I think the safest thing with how things are so in flux, if you are really into these ships, and I think we're talking value proposition here, Algared, it is pick up a CCU. Because they're just so subject to change. It's kind of weird at the moment. And I'd almost stress that on a lot of the ships because of what's just happened in the last couple of days. It is really hard to compare ships now based on weapons and even some of the components.
And I think if you want one of these ships and you can't get a CCU to them yet, CCUs for them will become available later on.
Yep.
Buy yourself an LTI token in preparation, so you've got that chain ready to go.
And you've still got Warbond CCUs and all that too. Yeah.
Yeah, and then just start building your Warbond CCUs to it. But
all right. So what happened was this is a shot taken from one of the slides at CitizenCon, and there is actually a version of an image that I had and I lost, but basically it was this image here. But there were 4 ships instead of 3, and the Clipper was in the middle or something like that, and the 4th one was here. And just to show you,
hiding behind your head at the time.
So if you actually look, it's the same image with different ships. So they've tried to hide this, right? And the other last thing I'll say is if you look at the top there, up next to where it says cargo, you can actually see there's a space. And it literally, there was a few people that saw this and copied and pasted it when the sale page first went live, and it said racing. Right? Now, a lot of people can go, that's bullshit. That's not a racer. That's something else, right? And we're talking about this ship here, right? You can tell it's different because it's actually got a fin on the back, extra fins, and a spoiler, and it's got a sunroof. And you can see there behind the turret, there is a bunch of sunroofs there. And it literally says ST on it. There is no other version with ST. Now, what do I think that means, and what does Algared think that means, right? And so we've talked this through a bit, and I talked to it through people on Discord. I'm going to give you my opinion. Algared can tell you if I'm right or wrong. But I think this either stands for sport or sports touring. And what I firmly believe is if you were going to take a large ship and make it into a racer, why would that be? And it's simply this. It's a long-distance endurance race ship. So we're talking going over multiple systems and back. It's not going around the racetrack like in any of the racing ones or the time trials. And it's not going through jump points and time trialing those. This thing is multiple systems and possibly back, right? So this is a new type of racer that kind of talks about pyro if you think about it, right? And again, I think one of the reasons this has been cut is because they want the multiple systems in. They want this to be there so you can go, right, oh, by the way, buy this and join this event or something of that nature. And I think that you can kind of see there's no other ships that are in this class. So I think we may see other big racing ships coming that go along with this. And I've heard people go, that's stupid. Why does it have a turret? Again, if you're doing long distance racing, you're going to be going through systems that are lawless and be attacked. You need to defend yourself.
I think there's a classic example. Why do you need turrets? Oh, let's do it. Let's do a buyer's guide for the Scout. What happens? Watch the video and find out.
Yeah. But no, so the bounty hunting version has the 2 turrets, Algared, and this, but the other 2 don't, right? So it's just interesting. What else could this be? So we also speculated, like, what is this if it's not racing, right? As in, what can it do outside that with the ST? And I went sports touring, so a little bit like the Phoenix. And I thought, like, if the Phoenix is more like a Bentley and like a luxury cruisy car, then maybe this is more like a Ferrari a Porsche, right? And maybe you can still put a vehicle in it, and maybe you can, like, it becomes a multi-race like marathon relay. So you can not only just race the ship, but it also gives you the option to pop a vehicle out the back and race with that as well as a part of the relay race, right? Because what else are you going to do under that skylight? Why is that a skylight? It's got to have some kind of luxury component to it, obviously, because the only other ships that kind of have skylights are those luxury ones. And when I say that, I'm talking purely RSI. There's nothing really outside the Phoenix that is like this, is there, in that RSI lineup?
Not in the RSI lineup. And I think the ST is kind of that Phoenix version, a bit like the Phoenix was not just supposed to be luxury. It was the James Bond Andromeda.
Yep.
It was like his Aston Martin, loaded to the gills with weapons and armor and everything else, but still luxury. And I think that was the idea that the Phoenix was supposed to have. I can't see this being any different. But apart from the only thing I differ from you in what you were saying in terms of what ST is the fact that what is racing for? Racing is basically what you use to build your skills for mapping jump points. Mapping a jump point in an Aurora or an Arrow is great for small stuff, but you need something bigger for the big ships, and so this would be mapping big jump points and getting the quickest times. So,
I meant it more as in like when you're specifically racing in a larger ship, not just that, but like I meant like not a time trial, not a lap. Yeah, but no, I get your point. It can totally still do those, yes. But I meant specifically what is unique to a racing ship of this size. And one last thing I do want to add is all the extra fins in that. Go look at the Fury LX and look at a few other. There's not many ships where we have a racing variant and a non-racing variant. The only one I can really think of is the LX when it comes to the razors, but it still kind of falls into a similar role. So all these extra fins are kind of like the extra stuff that they put onto the LX over the base Fury. So
they make it go faster. The only other thing I can think of, why do you need a sport touring or a racing type large ship? It's for priority transport. It's going to get there overnight. So, and again, that just adds to it. Doesn't change anything you've said.
But yeah. So I'm wondering if it's dual function. Like it could be that's why I call it sports touring, because it can do the racing, but maybe in its downtime it can do a bit of luxury stuff, and that's why I think it's more of like a Porsche or a Ferrari. So it's it's like it can race. But it's really a bit luxurious as well.
Yeah. And if it's a priority transport, that could be taking parcels or it could be taking people, which is why it's kind of that ties in with that. But that's as far as I'd be willing to go in terms of speculating on what the ST elephant in the room was.
So I think honestly, it could have been cut completely. I don't think so, considering it appeared in official slides. You can literally see it right behind me, right? So I think this is a can they've kicked down the road.
What annoys me is the fact that people like me who bought the 3 to get the complete set are missing one, and we're going to be...
It's probably the most expensive variant, let's be honest.
It probably is. It probably is, which is scary.
Because it looks like it's got everything the Bounty Hunter had and probably a bit more. So yeah, again, we can only speculate because you can't see the inside. All we can kind of go is there's a window, and that's it. One last thing I do want to point out that I noticed that I did forget to mention earlier is people have asked about this docking collar. It is very similar to what they're redoing on the Retaliators rework, and so you can actually see there's like a double door here with the hinges, and so that will more than likely either open or open like this or something like that, and then the collar will extend out and connect.
And I think that just ties in with what they've done with the Retaliator, and it's just
absolutely
that copying of tech and using the same tech, the same ideas, so they're not repeating and making bespoke stuff all the time.
And obviously, the last thing I'll add is ladder entry. So you're either going up the ladder a little bit like a freelancer, or going in the ramp at the back, again, just like a freelancer. So there is a little bit of a tie there between the freelancer and this one. So it's going to be interesting to see where it lands. You kind of see where we've kind of gone through today. It's a little difficult because, again, with all the weapon and component changes, we can only physically look at sizes of places. Again, a really good example is this version here, with it has a cargo bay and the bounty hunting modules, but the blue shares that space. So that's the only thing we can kind of compare. We can't fairly compare weapons because we'd be guessing, and it's just not fair to you guys or us. But obviously, CIG have made that a little bit difficult in that regard.
First impressions, they're nice.
Yeah, they're nice. Earning game for me is my takeaway. Your takeaway, Algared?
Well, they're nice. For most people, they should be a buying game, but for people like me...
Glutton for punishment. That's what he is, right? You heard it here first. Right, in the comments, let us know, guys. What are your thoughts? Did you pick one up? Are we hairbound and crazy? And again, try to remember, this is really hard to analyze with the changes. And I have said that. I feel like a broken record, but it does make it really hard to do. Algared, what would you like to hear from people below in the comments?
Yeah. What do you like about the Zeus? What don't you like about the Zeus? What would you hope that how do you hope they fit into the RSI line? Do you think they tread on, crush, destroy the MISC? What do you feel how do you feel the BMR matches up against the blue, the cutlass blue? So, and
finally, before we go, I'd like to know which variant is Algared likely to get away from me on when I hunt him down. Right, let me know.
The racing variant.
Yes, obviously. Zoom. Right. All right. With that, then, he's been Algared.
He's been Execute, and we're out of here. Take care.
I forgot something. Don't forget to like, subscribe. I clicked the wrong button. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and thank you everyone in the comments at the end of the video for going there, Shimon on Patreon.
And again, he's been Execute.
And he's been Algared. Thank you.